Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I'm back on the mission that says design your own H-class, and my objective currently is to go for the big battleship, build one, take on 2 American battleships and their escorts. Previously I went with boost technology, this time around I'm going to go with more funds, which gives me another 130 million to build with. And I already have built the battleship that I have in mind. This is the Baden. The Baden has a displacement of 130,000 tons. Speed, 33 knots in order to catch those enemy battleships which previously have been running away. Range, very long. I was initially planning this ship in the sense of an actual H-class, but went away from that design after a while, but I'm going to stick to the very long range. Bulkheads maximum. Geared turbines 2 for the propulsion because I cannot get the diesels. Ideally I would get the diesels because they don't damage as easily. Whereas these things, well, it's a minus 35% engine damage chance, but it does happen. Oil, forced boilers, aux 3 to make sure I can pump out water faster and get the ship turned around a little faster. Because torpedoes are the biggest threat. Croup 4, barbette 4, anti-torpedo 2. Ideally, I would go for more anti-torpedo protection, but it's making the ship very, very heavy. So I just went with anti-torp 2, and in tandem with triple hull bottom, reinforced bulkheads, anti-flood, and aux 3, I should be able to get back on my feet from taking a torpedo hit here or there. Citadel 5, all or nothing armor scheme. Armament-wise, I'm firing heavy shells out of all guns, propelled by high TNT explosives. Everything is an autoloader, fully automatic gun reload, and it has electro-hydraulic turrets to very quickly swing those around. I'm firing the guns directed by a stereoscopic rangefinder 5 and a generation 2 improved rangefinder. And then we come to the armor. 20-inch of belt armor, plus 118%, 19-inch belt extended, 7.5-inch deck extended, and 15-inch deck. This might be too much, but I found that this ship needs to get into range. It needs to get close. It needs to start pushing. At great range, this ship could very easily get heavily damaged by shells just plunging through the deck armor. So that's why I have 15 and 7 here. 18-inch armor on the conning turret, 15-inch on the turret, 15 inches on the secondaries, and 6-inch on the turret top. And then for the guns themselves, plenty of firepower here. 8 16-inch guns, 16 8-inch guns, that's more than some heavy cruisers carry around, 4 6-inch guns, 18 5-inch guns, and another 16 4-inch guns. So if enemy destroyers decide to get into range, they will very quickly be dissuaded and should be on their way pretty soon. Let's take the ship to war and see if I can this time the battleships before they start running away. I'm finding a Bainbridge and Maryland class battleship. Let's hope they're not too heavily armed, and more importantly, that they're not too fast. Because I've done this mission a couple of times now, and the thing that always gets me is the enemy's ability to run away. It is really frustrating to be chasing down an enemy warship and just have it slowly disappear over the horizon because it gets a speed that is 3 or 4 knots greater than yours. That's why I went with 33 knots. One reason, catch enemy battleships. The second reason, get into range quick. Unfortunately, it seems like these ships at least are coming to me. I have spotted them and the Baden immediately opens up, but the ship's not returning fire. So these are potentially 15-inch guns. Because it just took it a little longer to actually engage. Seems to be packing a good number of secondaries. Torpedo tubes on the side here. Potentially sub-deck or sub-water leveled torpedo tubes as well. Now, charge right in. This thing is a brawler. To the fullest extent of the name. It needs to get close, it needs to bring the secondaries to bear, and once it does, ships tend to sink very, very quickly. Especially destroyers. As I mentioned, one of the risks for this battleship mostly is enemy torpedoes. So I'm going to have to keep maneuvering, making sure I turn left, right, juggle my speed around a little bit, and that should throw off most of the torpedoes. But first I need to figure out where the enemy destroyers are in the first place. That's the prime target, this warship lead. Identification, 30%. One of the warships has 17-inch guns. Potentially the second one. And we have our first penetration here on the lead warship. Lead battleship. Now, I've done this mission a couple times. The biggest frustration is for these things to run away. And for me to be distracted by their escorts, which I suppose is the exact task of the escorts. Distract and harass. So what I'm going to do is only focus my firepower on the enemy battleships. And let the secondaries do the work on anything else that happens to be threatening the bottom. So if there's a destroyer around, if there's cruisers nearby, I'm going to let the secondaries take care of it. Although I'm sort of expecting... There's the destroyer. The destroyer is remarkably far behind the battleship. It does carry a load of torpedoes. A couple on the starboard, couple on the port, and a bunch on the stern. And it has 5 funnels. It's almost like they're worried about engine efficiency. Enemy battleship is on fire. It's now also being subjected to 8-inch fire from the secondaries. They might not do much other than just set fires. Which does help. Ooh, nice. Destroyed secondary guns. More fire set. I want to know how much armor that thing has. And especially how many bulkheads. So far, Baden at a decent angle with a ton of armor shrugging off all the damage that's coming in. The destroyers for the US fleet, that is, are in a bad position. And then you have a couple of heavies. A couple of heavy cruisers, or this could be the battle cruiser even. It might very well be the battle cruiser. That is lagging behind. But knowing the AI's tendency to create battle cruisers, which can do 40 to 45 knots, I don't think it's going to stay behind particularly long. I think sooner rather than later we'll see that warship appear. More fires are being set. Excellent work. Structural integrity is going down. On their ship, that is. Range is... range is only 10 kilometers. Brawl, brawl, brawl. Maryland. 17-inch guns. Oh dear. Torpedoes. 22-inch, 8 kilometers. Okay. It's not too bad. Let's slow down the ship a little. Because I'm in a fairly decent position. And at slower speeds I can always speed up again. And start dodging torpedoes. Second one. Almost identified. The Maryland has few bulkheads. It has a maximum of 17.5 inches of armor, augmented with 108% armor quality. So, that's about 34 inches of armor, if you take it to the max. 34 inches of armor is something that at 10 kilometers I can definitely penetrate. Because at 10 kilometer range, I have against the belt armor 35% or 35 inches of penetration power. Unfortunately, the game doesn't quite agree yet. I still need to get a little closer here. Maintain course towards the Maryland. And meanwhile, the other battleship is very close to being identified. What can you tell me? There, Bainbridge. 17-inch guns. A couple of 6-inch secondaries, although not really too many. 4 and 2s I can pretty safely ignore, and it carries side-mounted torpedo launchers. 23-inch, 13 knots, or 13 kilometers. But I know that these things have very narrow firing angles. If you look at the ship like this, they fire out to about that. So as long as I can stay ahead of the ship, I shouldn't really have to worry about that thing too much. Pan chance is going up. Maryland's down to 82%. Baden, in the meanwhile, 96%. Continue on course. Keep an eye on those destroyers and get me identification. In fact, let's have the secondaries trained on the destroyers. Alt right click. Both the 8 and the 6-inch are now working over the first destroyer. This is all secondary firepower that you now see coming out of the port side of the ship. Look at all that. Heavy damage. Potentially lethal damage on the first destroyer here. Yep, she's going down. I didn't even know what exactly it was armed with. But let's say I shall not be too concerned with that destroyer anymore. Nor will I particularly mourn its loss. Range to the Maryland. Oh. The Maryland's been sending torpedoes my way. Let's speed up. And change course. Flooding on the Maryland. I should very easily be able to pen this thing now, right? 53. Not too easily. Second destroyer's almost down. Thank you, secondaries, for making my life a hell of a lot easier. I'm a bit concerned about showing this much broadside to the Bainbridge, because there is a very real chance that that thing will do a lot of damage with those 17-inch guns. This is where we're going to put the belt armor to the test. Ah, destroyers. Stockton turning around, seemingly not too interested in fighting anymore. Let that thing just probably flood and change fire to the Doyle. Ship destroyed. I'm not exactly sure where the torpedoes went. Range to target 2.4 kilometers. Chance to pen only 53 still. Look at that, everything's bouncing off. Whereas my shells are perfectly landing on the ship, inflicting fire, flooding, and just overall severe damage. There goes the Doyle. Nothing lasts very long against all this secondary might. Let's slow down a little more. Oh crap, she's gonna launch torpedoes in a second. Like, now. Oh no! No! Not at that range. That's going to be 3 very, very deadly torpedoes. Here goes 1, 2. Oof. 65 damage. 96 damage. I'm not even sure where the third one is. Did I even get hit by the third? BB hits torpedoes with a torpedo, with a torpedo. I think I missed the third one. 1 torpedo hit, 2 torpedo hits. Yep. I think I was able to dodge the third. Now, I did take some damage from it, but floatability is still at 99%, and the flooding should be managed very soon. Let's get every single gun on this ship firing at the Maryland at 500 meters range. Look at this. The game refuses, just flat out refuses to give me 5 times speed now. This is a brawl. To the fullest extent of the name. Brawl. Hey Maryland, how are you doing? That ship seems to have a bit of a list to start with. Torpedoes destroyed, fire set, more torpedoes. There goes the Maryland. Well done, Baden. Now I need to sink the enemy battleship, the Bainbridge, before she manages to make an escape. Speed, 25 knots tops. I used to be able to do 33, but that's no longer really an option. And I have to consider that this ship might send torpedoes. So let's angle away from it a little bit. Let the secondaries get to work. Turn the main guns around, because they're in pretty terrible positions at the moment. Still though, the Bainbridge is firing back at me with just 2-inch guns. 2-inch guns, which ideally can penetrate about 8.4 inches of armor at 1,000 meters. I'm currently fighting at 4, so the best things that these things can hope for is, well, causing fires. They don't, or won't, really do anything else but that. Now, fires can kill a ship, but I have excellent damage control on this ship. So sure enough, fires should not really be that much of a problem. Hold on, Bainbridge, where are you going? Where are you going? Stay here. See, this is what the AI does every single time. it runs. I've got a battle cruiser here, which is just firing with secondaries. Ah, there's another destroyer here. Secondaries, take care of the rich. Baden, start making the turn to port. I flat out refuse to have that battleship get away again. Main guns on the Bainbridge. Heavy damage on the rich. Secondary should be able to nail that thing quickly. So I don't have to worry about any more torpedo impacts. And it's not so much the damage from the torpedo impacts that I'm worried about. It's the damage to my engines. That is usually what does me in, because with damage to the engines I just cannot get up to speed. And I cannot catch the enemy battleship as it's trying to flee. Which it is trying to do right now. There goes the Rich. Next is Sharky, which is very valiantly fighting with 3-inch and 2-inch guns. Though at this point it seems to think that, well, maybe there's no point. It's just holding fire. Very, very sharply looking at those 24-inch torpedo tubes. With a slight sense of dread. There they come. Maximum right turn. Slow down. Even if it means I have to get away from the Bainbridge, I don't want to see the Sharky actually land any, well, fish on my ship. Sharky sinks. Alright, all the guns. Go for the Bainbridge. Bainbridge, what's your speed? 22.8. Ooh. I can do 24 in a straight line, but not when I'm trying to dodge torpedoes. Penetration chance? 50%. Standard amount of bulkheads? About 25 inches of armor. Alright, come left. Increase speed. Oh, here come the torpedoes. That dodge does look good. I think we will not see any impacts. Yeah, dodge was good. That saves me a lot of damage. Unfortunately, now I have the ship oriented in the wrong... Well, I'm going... In English, I'm going the wrong way. Bainbridge is trying to run. Still doing 22.3. Ah, crap. There's 2 heavies coming in. Secondaries, take care of the heavies. These things have maximum bulkheads, about 20 inches of armor, and torpedoes. Now, I'm already maneuvering violently to start turning around, so the heavy cruiser shouldn't be that much of a problem. Bainbridge, stop running. Ship is accelerating to 24 knots. Bainbridge, still in 21, so I should be able to catch it. Let's see if the Cambridge can get killed off by the secondaries, although at this point everything is just bouncing off. Mostly setting some fires, but aside from that, not doing much. Look at that. On fire, on fire, on fire. But with maximum bulkheads, the fires die out very quickly. 1 or 2 good blasts from the main guns should do it. But I need those on the Bainbridge before she gets out of range. Baden, keep turning, please. The ship is just not affected at all. Oh, the Californians also sent torpedoes. I wonder how accurate those torpedoes are going to be, as I'm still violently maneuvering. Getting turned towards the direction of the battleship as quickly as possible. Some damage inflicted on the Cambridge with an 8-inch hit. Mid-deck penetrated. It's nothing serious though. Bainbridge doing 21 knots. Own ship 19 knots and speeding. Come on, catch it. There's also the battle cruiser, but I feel like I can mostly ignore that thing. Even though... Hold on. Are you telling me that this battle cruiser is less well armored than the cruisers? These things have 10.1 inch max at 108%. These have an 88% bonus for 8.6. Really? That's interesting. My 16-inch are still trying to hit the battleship, and I still have plenty of firepower left. Plenty of shells. It's just going to get up to that speed. That's going to be the problem. 21.3, 21.4. I just hope that I don't eat any more torpedoes. Or that they hit my engineering. Pen chance is good at 62%. Shells are coming in almost vertically on the Bane Bridge at this point. Floatability, 92%. Structural integrity, 63%. Seems like most of the shells are not doing that much yet. Some damage, 31, 20. Accuracy is down to 22. Okay. For a while, as that battleship is trying to get away from me, I'm going to go over the California. Accuracy is building up again. 17. 19. Penetration chance, 68%. Speed, 23.7. Bane Bridge, 21. I will catch him. California could launch another set of torpedoes at me. Where are his torpedo tubes? On the bow? Oh, really? That makes my life easier. That means you cannot shoot. Or rather, not effectively. You cannot launch torpedoes. Your speed? California, 25.2. So you are heading away. There you go. Destroyed secondary tower. That should affect its accuracy a bit, although the 9-inch does not seem to be too heavily affected. Range to the Bane Bridge, 21 kilometers. But we are gaining. Ever so slightly. I just gotta make sure I don't waste too many shells from the mains. I still need those shells to take out the Bane Bridge whenever I get into range. This helps. Oof. Its entire superstructure seems to be gone. Destroyed the main tower. I want to give it a blast of HE. With the armor this far destroyed, I think a couple of blasts of HE should kill it. Destroyed main tower again? I don't know. Sometimes the game does not make a whole lot of sense to me. Rudder damaged. Look at that. That just went from 74 to 34. 711 damage, thanks to an HE penetration. Floatability seems to be a big issue. It should slow the California down significantly as well. Yep. 17, 17.4, 17.1, 16.6. California, here we come. Come on, get the 16-inch to get one more hit. We can blow the whole ship up. Fire's not helping. Maximum bulkheads means that it's... well, it's not invulnerable to fires, but it doesn't really care much. California, 9 knots. Oh, in that case... I'm going to let the secondaries whittle that thing down. As we go with the mains for the battlecruiser. Alt shift right click. Secondaries are still working over California. This thing cannot go anywhere. It's like the Baden is acting as a shark. Very slowly getting into range. Cue the Jaws theme. Because it's just not going anywhere. Still valiantly fighting though. Destroy the funnel. Still have 4 hours left. That should be enough time to get into range of the battleship. Ah, the 4-inch... Really? I got so close that the 4-inch guns are now firing. I have a couple of 4-inch guns really high up on the mast here. This one, that one. I doubt that they're going to be doing a lot of damage, but it is amusing. Inflicted no damage on the Independence yet. Switch to auto selection. 100% chance to pen the Independence here. Wow. Jeez, tough little ship. Do I really need to pull alongside and board it? Not that you can in this game, but it would be amusing if you could. Firing at this battle crew is just a waste of ammo. Can I hit this? The other heavy cruiser? You know what? I'm going to save some ammo. I'm not going to let the 16-inch fire anymore. I'm alright with the secondaries opening up. But the primes, not so much. Alt, right click. I need my main armament. Especially the ammo count. Because I think that that's the only thing that's still going to go through that battleship. Wherever it is. California now really taking a pounding. Several fire set. How are you not dead? How are you not dead? More fire. Torpedoes are getting destroyed. Oh crap. It just sent out a volley of torpedoes or a torpedo. In this case, I can't really tell. But there's definitely something coming towards the bottom. So I must have approached to such an angle that it can now launch. And I was expecting that I would close to such an angle. But there you go. Nice try. I had hoped that I would not actually be subjected to further torpedo attacks. I have had it with this ship. 100% chance to pen. Or to hit. Boom. Dead. Thank you. Well done. Back to saving ammunition. Range to the battleship. 18.8. Oh, we're gonna have to get a little patient here. 3 hours 45 minutes left. What's my accuracy going to be like? 25%. That's not bad. Auto select. 27%. Okay. I'm game. Switch to full. I don't think I can get more. Yeah, I cannot get more than 23 knots out of her. Versus the Bainbridge's 20.7. Oh. That's going to be a problem. I really hate this part of the mission. Because it always comes down to this for me. It always comes down to, can you catch that fleeing battleship? And the answer is usually no. Because at this point of the battle, you have taken so much damage that your engines are not exactly up to full power anymore. You simply don't have the speed. An enemy battleship despite this thing not being fast at 25 knots, and not even getting up to 25 knots, it is just still getting away. And all you can sit here, or all you can do is sit here, hope that you catch it, hope that you get into range, that you don't run out of ammo, and that your guns at some point strike a critical part of the ship, being engineering or ideally an ammo detonation, just causing massive amounts of damage to the ship, preferably the engines, then you can finally catch up to it. Because right now it's just sitting here and there's nothing I can do but let the ship just duke it out. And so far I'm not even sure if I'm getting a lot of pens on it. Seems like I'm getting some. But I'm only firing at it with 2 turrets, so 4 guns total. That's not a lot. I just shrugged it off. 18.2. 20.6 versus my 22.8. Still closing. It's just going to take forever to get there. Hit. Fire set. I don't want a fire set. I want an engine knockout. Even if it's temporary. As long as it slows down to 15, 16 knots, I'll be able to close in a hell of a lot faster. And in the meanwhile, the battlecruiser is still doing loops. Right. This thing is now completely toothless. It has no ammo left on the 15-inch, and it has no ammo left on the 7-inch. It has 4-inch armaments, 3-inch, and 2-inch. I mean, it has a shit ton of 2-inch guns. Sure enough. But how are those going to be a threat to my ship? The heavy cruiser? Same deal. No more 9-inch ammo. So the only ships which still have big ammo or guns for their... No, ammo for their big guns are the Bainbridge and the Baden. I still have 300 rounds. He still has 700 rounds for his 17-inch guns. Alright, the chase is on. Alright, time has progressed, I think by my count about an hour, maybe more, and the battle is still raging. Ever so slightly. The Bainbridge. At this point, I'm not even sure if something went wrong with the texturing, or if the whole battleship has just been scorched black. But the game model looks a little worse for wear. The Baden, still going strong. Still plodding along at 22.3 versus the Bainbridge's 20. It takes impacts all the time from the 17-inch guns, but it does not really suffer from them. I mean, the shells keep coming in, and I just shrug it off most of the time. Unfortunately, the Bainbridge and the Baden were both running out of shells. So at this point, I have 168 left, and he has 292. And that's not counting the secondaries, but most of those I'm not too concerned with. The only exception being the secondaries in the form of torpedo tubes, the underwater torpedo tubes. I fired AP, I fired HE. It is just taking forever, but I believe I can still win this fight. We're now ahead by another about 25 to 30 minutes, and the Bainbridge has completely run out of 17-inch armament ammo. I still have my secondaries firing. I have a couple of very loyal 8-inch guns. That is, at this point it seems like the game is so tired of my pursuit, and I can't really blame it, that the whole ship's been blackened. I'm not sure if it's night or anything, but the ship's looking really, really dark. I still have some main armament left, and it is accurate, but my pen chance is so bad that I don't actually intend to use it at the moment. So I'm just trying to whittle this thing down. Now I have actually gone AFK for portions of this fight. At some point I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna get a coffee. So I went away from the keyboard, just let the ships duke it out, chase each other, with those couple hundred 17-inch rounds that the Bainbridge still had left. It's able to do, I think it did 2% structural damage by the time I got back. And that's hundreds and hundreds of rounds, keep in mind. And in the meanwhile, I'm doing virtually nothing to this ship. Just nothing at all. There's nothing happening. Now, you could argue that the design of the ship is bad, or that this is bad gameplay. And I wonder what you guys' take is on that. Let me know down below in the comments. Is this bad gameplay? That you just can go AFK and have the ships chase? And I could probably do this for, well, for another 30 minutes, and I probably wouldn't miss much. Because I cannot really finish off this ship. I'm just trying to keep up with it at about 11 kilometers. But I can't very well do anything else. The Independence is still more or less close to the enemy warship, to the Bainbridge. But it too cannot do anything, because it's down to those secondaries. The Bainbridge itself still has a lot of 6-inch armament, or 6-inch ammo, but similarly not capable of using them, because its accuracy is too bad. Torpedo tubes are also taking damage. Very slowly, a couple of fires are being set, but I've seen this happen over and over and over. You set a fire and they put it out. You set another fire and they put it out. And you set, it just keeps going on and on and on. Every now and then, I give him a normal shot from the 16-inch, and it just casually bounces off, because my ricochet chance is so high. The approach angle on this ship is just not good enough, and most of the time I don't do any kind of damage. So what I sometimes do is throw out a couple of HE shells from the 16s, that is, hoping to do some damage, and even that, more often than not, does nothing. Now at this point I also have my 5-inch guns joining into the fray. The Bainbridge, again, is being put on fire. Structural integrity just went down 1%. Speed went down by 0.1 knot over the last half hour, but there is just nothing going on. As much as I try to close, as much as I try to do damage against this ship, it just refuses to sink. Now, for an 86,000 ton warship, I'm not surprised that it can take a beating and a half. But this is just boring. I'm trying to catch up. And that's what I've been doing for, well, in this, let's say this battle, I'd say the last 2 hours. Because after about a little over an hour, I think I sunk the first battleship, maybe some more. And now we're actually getting some decent damage done. The Bainbridge is slowing down some. But by the time that I'll actually be able to get any kill shots, I won't have any 16-inch shells left. So, if you're going to undertake this mission, I would highly encourage you to use armaments which are not only capable of doing a lot of damage, but also designing a ship which is capable of getting close or keeping close to the enemy warship. Either you throw out so many shells and so much damage that you sink them very quickly, or you're going to have to build a ship that's fast enough to catch them. If you do not do either, you're going to end up with a scenario like this, where I've been chasing and chasing and chasing. And the ship is slowly slowing down to 19.3, but come on. I will finish the battle. If you've stopped watching at this point, I cannot very much blame you. If you're still here, kudos to you for trying to figure out how this is going to go, how this is going to end. I think I might be able to get the Bainbridge. 90 minutes left of battle time. Plenty of armament left. 470 and 3,000 rounds in the 5-inch. Although, arguably, what do the 5-inch really do? The 8-inch still do some damage. The 5-inch... not so much. The 5-inch don't really pen that ship at all. So I'm just relying on the 8-inch and the 5-inch for maybe setting a fire or two. My one hope for sinking this thing is pulling alongside. And then maybe, hopefully, getting a couple of good pen shots. While trying to avoid any incoming torpedoes. But it just takes so long. Now, after another 20 to 30 minutes, having closed to almost 8.5 kilometers, I have every gun that I have on the ship, which is capable of firing at the Bainbridge, doing just that, including my 16-inch. And the Bainbridge, believe it or not, is still at a structural integrity of 40%. It is, however, starting to get slowly overwhelmed by the amount of fires that I'm setting. Although, emphasis goes to slowly. Because sure enough, my what is it, 4, 5, 6 and 8 inch guns are setting fires. But that is just about all that they're doing. And the Bainbridge, with still a good amount of bulkheads, is just awfully unimpressed. It just still sits there, 44, 92. Its main tower has been completely destroyed. It's trying to do some damage in return with the 4 inch guns. And there's a decent number of those, but overall they're not terribly effective. She is still not slowing down. The ship just refuses to slow down. Still 19 knots, despite having taken severe damage. Baden, currently 45%. Still moving at a speed of 22, so ever so slowly I'm still trying to approach the ship. I do see, however, that I've changed course a little bit, or the Bainbridge has. I'm not sure which happened first. And the Independence is still hanging around. Not really good for much, aside for making for a pretty ship with a lot of secondaries, which, well, sure enough, they're firing the 4 inch guns. But come on. It's not really special. We're now in the last half hour of the battle. I am out of ammo. I have 20 shells left on the main guns. The 8 inch ran out of ammo a long time ago. My 5 inch are actually running a little low on ammo, and the 6 inch are currently not capable of firing because they simply don't have the right angle. I don't believe that I can do this in the last 26 minutes of the battle. Even with a ×5 times acceleration, this battle has taken absolutely forever. I'm trying to more or less pull alongside the Bainbridge at this point. Because at, let's say, 1 or 2 kilometers, the 5 inch and the 6 inch might actually be able to do something. Other than just setting fires, which is what they've been doing now. Unfortunately, the 8 inch are out, as mentioned. Those would be very handy because, let's say 5 kilometers out, they can penetrate a lot of armor. Unfortunately, not nearly as much armor as this ship has. But if I start pulling alongside, that should be getting progressively easier. I did see that I destroyed a whole bunch of the torpedoes on the Bainbridge. Unfortunately, the game doesn't accurately show that. It does not give you a clear indication of what torpedo tubes are still operational and which ones have been destroyed. It just shows you, hey, it has torpedo tubes. So I don't exactly know what I have done to which torpedo tube, but I did, over the last half hour, see a whole bunch of notifications go, torpedo destroyed, torpedo destroyed, torpedo destroyed. So hopefully the torpedo tubes are not going to be that much of a problem. The thing is, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull alongside. The Bainbridge is doing 18.3. It's been reduced in speed significantly. The Baden, 21.9. Time is running out, however, 20 minutes left. Over here you can still see a very dispirited battle cruiser, which I have hit a little bit with a 5 inch, but overall it wasn't really too interesting. I managed to damage the superstructure very slightly, and it was on fire once or twice. But as you can see, it ran out of the 15 inch, the 7 inch. It is about to run out of the 4 inch. And then it carries still 22,000 rounds of 2 inch ammunition, but, well, I don't think that it's going to be able to pen my belt armor, considering that I have that severely high amount of belt armor of 20 inches, plus another, what is it, 118%. So I'm not too concerned about that. Now at this point, 15 minutes left, or near enough. I guess I'm just going to have to open up on the Baden. Oh, sorry, on the Bainrite. Sorry, Bainbridge. How did I come up with Bainrite? Whether I like it or not, whether I'm going to be able to pen it or not, I'm going to have to fire. Fortunately, accuracy is excellent. I get 100% accuracy, so I will make these shells count. But in 14 minutes, I just won't be able to pull alongside. The only hope now is ammo detonations. Ammo detonations or some sort of extreme damage that impacts the ship. Maybe massive flooding. But with my last 2 16-inch shells, I don't expect anything. 35%. The ship is on fire in multiple departments. 11 minutes left. I will, even if I don't sink the Bainbridge, still hand the victory to the Germans on this one. The mission will be failed, but just imagine what the impact is. This ship has sustained, at this point, I think, thousands and thousands of impacts. It means that the American ships which have survived, which have fired hundreds and hundreds of 17-inch rounds, 9-inch, 6-inch, 4-inch, it doesn't matter what they've been firing at it, the Baden kept coming. It just refused to sink. It refused to die, and moreover, it still has 40% of structural integrity left. It's not like it's almost done. No, she's still afloat. In the meanwhile, she has sunk a heavy cruiser. She has sunk a battleship. And I believe 4, potentially 5 destroyers. She made a cruiser run away because it was out of ammo. She made a battle cruiser utterly impotent because it has absolutely no ammo left. And this battleship, well, let's just say I wouldn't want to be on board this battleship because overall this thing has taken so much damage that I imagine that there is not a whole lot left to cling on to. Sure, there is enough left. There's still 34%. And now we're actually doing damage to the rudder. We're actually setting fires, but it's just not enough. So just imagine being on one of the US ships that actually survived and going to the pub and telling about your encounter with the Baden. We came across this ship. This German 130,000 ton behemoth of a ship. We threw literally everything we had at it, and she kept coming. We torpedoed it, and it kept coming. We threw thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds at it, and it kept coming. It sunk several destroyers before the destroyers even had a chance to fire. The Independence battlecruiser fired everything she had and was at some point down to just the 2-inch guns, and she kept coming. At some point, we thought the better of it and just ran away because there was no escaping or no sinking the Baden. So unfortunately, mission failed, but at least it's an epic tale of the Baden, and I hope you enjoyed that fight. This is the second time I failed the mission. Next time around, I guess I'm gonna have to go for even more speed or, well, back to bigger guns. Still, I really enjoyed this, especially those secondaries taking out the destroyers very quickly, and then that up-close brawl with the battleship. That was excellent to see. Hope you enjoyed that show of force. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Let me know if you have any great war stories that the US sailors would be telling about the Baden. I always love seeing what you guys come up with in the comments. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good weekend ahead, and I shall catch you soon for more videos.